I ain't doing it, KP. You can't make me talk about this fucking show anymore. I can't. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tardy to the Party, aka T3P, where us two hooligans talk shop about that holy trinity of pop culture, Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. I'm your boy Jsib, and joined by, as always,
KP here.
What brings us here today, KP? Well, of course, Loki Season 2, Episode 5. Non-spoilers.
Did they reset the timeline? Did they reset the timeline?
Big implications, right? We ended on a big
Right.
cliffhanger last week, right?
And we
Okay.
pick right back up. Right back up.
So, this episode, I don't really have much to say in the non-spoiler section.
Yeah.
All I will say is it felt like I don't want to put this. The episode itself in a vacuum is fine. It's an episode that to me feels like it should have probably been earlier in this season. Definitely not the penultimate episode to your season.
Yeah. I mean, spoiler and non-spoiler. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this episode. I'll say that it serves a purpose to develop Loki's character a little more, to truly figure out what he wants. That's really all the episode does. And then he gets a new superpower.
Yeah, he learns a new trick.
Yeah. He gets a new superpower. Which I don't know. I've got my theory on that, but we'll get into it.
I mean, I guess I have a theory too.
Dun, dun.
But I feel like they already spoiled it in their latest trailer for these last two episodes. But
I didn't watch the mid-season trailer, so at least I'll get it surprised for me.
hopefully.
So I'm not watching no trailer anymore. You can't make me.
So we start off with a reverse shot of Loki. Also, I'm probably going to go through, by our standards, probably breakneck pace.
Yeah, same. We're going to go through it at breakneck speed because, to be honest, people, with these spoilers, there really, truly is not a lot. I mean, almost nothing happens in this episode. I mean, it's just all... Just like you said, it's like... It's a filler. It's a filler episode. That's all it is. It's filler. And it's and like you said, it's the penultimate episode. Go through the shit. Yes, I'm wearing a glove because I'm gonna game later.
What? You doing in play? Is it just the one hand? You pulling a Michael Jackson? What are you doing?
Yeah, I only need it for my... I mean, I have both right and left, but I only use the right one for my mouse.
Kevin Jackson. All right, let's do this. This episode opens with a reverse of...
New Twitch name.
With the reverse of how last episode ended with fading to white. Zooming in on Loki's face, fading to white. Now it's white, fading out, showing Loki's face. He begins time slipping again. He goes certain sections in the TVA, and he basically sees himself 2 seconds apart, says hello to himself while he's holding a TVA guide.
That was kind of cool. I mean, it was cool. But yeah, he's just, I don't know, he's time slipping again. You know, it's like, oh.
Here we go again. So
I think he even says, he even yells too, right? He says he's like, no, not this again. Or something like that. Like, that was pretty good. Go ahead, sorry.
I'll probably as he's there, the TVA starts spaghettifying. The way they did it, I thought was a cool effect.
Sorry, I just thought of you say it, and I just think of Scarlet Witch killing Reed Richards every single time. I'm like, why is that the new?
I think it has to do with reality magic. That's the only like.
I guess that has to be like how they want to distinguish it. Which still though, it's like okay, but why did you make it like ashes in Endgame and Infinity War or in Infinity Wars and Endgame it was they turned to ash, but now it's
I don't know.
again.
Was that from the Soul Stone? Maybe the Scarlet Witch turned to ash or whatever when she dies or whoever.
Yes, yes, they all do. They all fade into ashes, and it's like, is that because it's reality? Is it the
Or
reality and Soul Stone? I don't know.
Sorry, I meant Black Widow. Scarlett Johansson is. Does she turn to dust when she dies to get the soul? Or no? Gamora. Does she die or turn to dust when she gets thrown?
No, it's just you just see the pool of blood that's spat out from her body when they die, when they're thrown off the cliff.
Lame.
I'm talking about I'm talking about when the snaps happen.
Oh, I know, but I was
They
like, well,
they turn
maybe
to
the
ash.
snap is linked to the soul gem instead of the reality gem, so maybe that's why they turned
Maybe.
to dust. But forget that. Gamora doesn't turn to dust, so I'm fucking wrong. So anyway, your boy keeps time slipping. He eventually goes back to I don't remember the fucking year. I didn't write it down. Sue me. He goes back to
The first
Alcatraz. It seems though.
1962.
Oh, whoa! Look at you, Mike. See, well, this is why we're a team, dynamic duo, as always. Runs into Frank, okay, Casey.
Fucking
Breaks
Frank.
breaks him out of jail.
No, he's
Or no, he's
out
breaking
on his
it.
own.
Yeah, he's breaking out on his own. Sorry, my bad. Loki runs into him
on the beach.
On the beach.
He's like,
Doesn't recognize him.
He's like, I don't know where or when I'm at. He's just freaking out.
But he obviously tries to get Casey's help. Casey has no idea who the hell he is.
Excuse me, chat.
So then Loki goes through many timelines again, and then we end up with B-15 as a doctor. Mobius sells jet skis, ATVs, other such. Seems very happy in his life. Got a family. OB, this is the only year I wrote down, 1994. It seems like,
and that's the one I had to rewind on because I missed it.
Oh, nice.
The first time I watched it, or the time I watched it, whatever.
Seems that he's at like a bookstore or something. He's trying to buy a book, his own book, which is a sci-fi book. Science fiction is the name of this episode. Loki somehow, oh boy, shock with OB. So this is why. I can't
so OB, yeah, OB is like.
Oh, he's stuck with him. Jeez, there we go. He's stuck with it. Oh yeah, that's what I said. That's what I was confused about. Inconsistency in this episode. Seems like he can't control in the beginning. He's flopping around anywhere, but all of a sudden, when he ends up with OB, he's stuck there miraculously. Like he just.
Oh my god, that drove me nuts too. I was like,
stuck
oh my
there
god,
for so long, and I'm like, come on,
dude, you're horrible writing. Like, what exactly? Why is it that he's porting around, but then he gets stuck with OB, and then they kind of explain it because OB points out, like, well, maybe you can kind of control this because you seem to be slipping around the people that you want to find. And it's like, okay, that's cool, makes sense to explain like how convenient this has just been for him. But yeah, it's like,
also convenient that Loki doesn't time slip until after he gives OB the T guide, which is he needed to make the 10 pack.
Hell yeah.
But I guess the logic is, well, he's going to who he needs to go to, and after he gives OB the TVA guide, he doesn't need OB no more for the time being. So
he just slips again, and he slips again, and he slips again back to 2022 with Mobius, except now he's outside of his house. And
Creeper.
The Creeper. This version of him is like dealing with his sons. One of them named Kevin, who's a little asshole. Something about Kevin's.
Checks out.
Hey, fucker. Anyways. So then OB comes out of a portal that's kind of fidgety because it's a prototype, and
oh yeah, because Loki's trying to talk Mobius into coming back with him.
Right.
to the TVA. Like, this isn't your actual life, even though it is. But come on, this isn't your life.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck jet skis. But yeah.
Right.
Obi comes out of the portal. Yeah, he's basically. I don't know. I feel like this is kind of. He gets the gang wrangled up, and then except for Sylvie. Sylvie is
Back on her little 1980 whatever timeline branch it is.
McDonald's.
Yeah, still working at old McDonald's.
I had a note in here too, and I don't remember why.
I liked how
Loki.
Loki. So Loki, I liked how Loki. He came out of the portal and he's like, okay. He's like, and I kind of knew this was gonna happen. That he was gonna be like, okay, this is gonna be really hard for you to understand. And she's like, yeah, Loki, I know you are. Yeah, Loki, hi. And he's like, wait, you remember me? And she's like, yes. And he's just, well, none of the others did. So he's like, I wasn't prepared for this conversation to go this way. And like, I like how he was like just so flustered. I just love that touch.
I wonder if that's because she's unique and being like Sylvie, or if it's just because she still has He Who Remains temp pad. I feel like that's probably the only other reason why.
I think that's what it was, because he's like, well, you were there at the end when it like exploded. And she goes, yeah, or he's like, or he tells her how like it exploded and the loom was destroyed. She goes, yeah, I know, I was there. And I took that as like she must have like slipped out as that happened or something.
Oh yeah, that would make sense. She would just temp that out. Yeah.
Yeah, because like you said, she had the watch, because you know they basically go have a drink, a heart to heart, and again, this is really like this is the entire purpose of the episode. And if I'm stealing your thunder of the notes you're running through, I felt like all this episode was just for Loki to admit that he doesn't want to live alone, he doesn't want to be alone, he just wants to have his friends around him to be like his family because he has nowhere to go. And
he no longer
you know,
looks
that
at
was
these people as ants.
right. Yeah, he doesn't look at humanity anymore as ants to be conquered or ruled. He just wants to live a life and have his friends there, and he just doesn't want to be alone. And like, you know, I mean, that's relatable for anybody. And you know, it was adorable because you know, we're used to him being a selfish asshole, and this variant of Loki is a changed man. And I think he even says that too at one point. He says that to the to I'm just gonna say Mobius because I don't remember what his like real name was.
The Don.
He
The Don.
I don't I who cares? I don't know. He's because guess what? Spoilers. He's gonna be Mobius in the next episode.
It's named Don. I wrote it down. Mobius named Don selling jet skis.
Jesus Christ. And ATVs.
And ATVs.
Financing options available. So he tells him how like, you know, I like that too, how he's like, the reason I need you is because like you shown me that I could be someone I never thought I could be. And then I felt like that just came to fruition when he has the drink with Sylvie and he's like, I just don't want to be alone. I just want to be with my friends, and I want like all of humanity across multiple timelines to like exist and have free will. And because the free will, I guess, causes chaos and is chaotic since people aren't ruled, and that's his whole thing is he's the god of mischief and chaos, blah 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 blah.
So I wrote a note here that I was just it was more of a theory kind of. It's like Loki is the new Time Lord. It seems like it's what they're kind of setting up with him getting the gang back together. That maybe almost in a way that he's
right
kind of leading the charge to rebuild the TVA and maybe become the new He Who Remains in a way.
Yeah, because like he tells them all, like so once he figures that out from Sylvie, he goes back, he tells them all like they can just go back to where he pulled them from. They can go back to their lives because he's like, I basically rounded you up out of selfishness because I don't want to be alone. And he's like, And then they're and like Don Mobius, they're kind of freaked out because they're like, well, wait a minute, you said that like we were all in mortal danger, and he's just brushing off. He's like, yeah, just go home, and then Sylvie's branch like completely collapsed, so she's like telling him how like, hey, no, this isn't good, like everything's like collapsing, and then it starts to all spaghetti around him.
Well,
And what's funny
I,
what's
I
funny
don't know
about
if you
it
felt the same, but before Loki sent him home, I distinctly put a note for myself that just said, starting to struggle at this point. Because it was starting to get a little boring and a little almost like a weird repetitive where it's like, why is this the penultimate episode? Why is this the fucking penultimate episode in my eyes? But then, yeah.
then
The scene with Sylvie I thought was great with the record. The song was a nice choice. It's
yeah.
also a nice thematic touch because obviously this season has been all about like the Ouroboros or loops, and it's like, what is a record
Yeah.
player? It plays in loops. Like, very nice touch. I really liked that scene. Like that's what makes me so frustrated about this show at the end of the day. It's just like I feel like the acting's great. There's a lot of things they do on like a technical level. As far as like
Right.
cinematography, I have no complaints overall about the CGI in this series,
Yeah.
especially for like a TV series. There's
It's
so many
just the
things on a
over
technical level that they do so right, but at the same time, I don't
right.
know why KP this season overall hasn't grabbed me like season one did.
Because the
Oh,
writing
like
has not been is it was clearly like a rushed written plot, and it just wasn't good. And yeah, I mean, shit, man, it's almost like this could have just you could have just made the first season include all this and had the first season be like however many episodes, 12, 14, whatever. It's like you could have just had this all as like one standalone thing. But you want to keep us subscribed, so you got to spread it out. Yeah. So, hmm. Yeah, it was all good.
yeah. So anyway,
But the
Sylvie
yeah, the
Sylvie goes back and with Loki with the uh, all the other TVA team before they got sent home, or did they come back? I can't even remember what happened. They're all still with
before
Loki.
like he's telling him to go home, and she pops through her own portal because, like you said, she still had the tech and the watch. And she tells him how, like, no, everything's collapsing. We have to fix it. And then they go to grab the Tim pad, but the Tim pad is evaporated. It's gone. He thinks at first, like, he tells Frank, he tells fucking Frank, he's like, hey, you can rob all the damn banks that you want when we're done.
Give me that
And
damn
he's
tempad.
like, he's like, I don't have it, man. And then like everyone starts to spaghetti and everything around them spaghettis, and then Loki just kind of watches Sylvie go finally, and then he's like even touching it, and I thought that was interesting too. How it seemed like for him, it's not if the reality's breaking doesn't affect him at all, and so what he focuses and then he rewinds. He
Yep.
slips back and he rewinds himself. Tells OB like I did it, and they're like you did what? And he's just I controlled it. Like I controlled the time slip. And then Back to the Future, I gotta go back, and he
I gotta go
controls it
back
so
even further.
right. And then he controls it a little more, and then ultimately, basically, he controls it to get all the way back to right before Victor runs out the door to fire the loom. So I think the idea is that he thinks, I think in his brain, like you said, he's probably going back to trade places with Victor to make the sacrifice that he saves the multiverse. But I do kind of agree with you that I personally think they're kind of setting it up to where this Loki, becomes like the Lord of Time, Time Lord, he'll replace He Who Remains, is what I'm thinking here. But he'll let the multiverse just kind of reign. I guess it depends on how true all those MCU rumors are now. Of someone possibly getting shit canned and not replaced, and just fuck this character, screw it.
I will say I hope they don't do that because I already thought
Yeah.
that was the end game anyway. So why wouldn't you just make that a long-term game and just literally, if you feel like you have to recast Kang, he's literally the easiest fucking character to recast.
Screw that, man. We're just gonna get rid of him.
If you feel
Apparently,
like you have
that's
to
the rumor.
recast, fucking recast. Don't rush something else that was supposed to come way later.
Right? Nah, man. We're just gonna get rid of him. Screw it. This guy, Doctor Doom's gonna be the big bag of the Secret Wars.
I mean, I'm fine with that, I guess. I mean, if he shows up at Secret Wars, I think that always should have been the plan. But
right,
that's
I
just
guess. But I don't know. I just feel like they're treating.
I don't want Kang Dynasty to be Doom Dynasty. Okay, I don't need none of that shit. Like, no. If we're gonna bring Doom,
right,
bring him in Secret Wars, or potentially even maybe yeah. I would prefer to see him make his appearance in Secret Wars because it's kind of an iconic Doom story. But whatever.
Right.
There's also quite a few.
Loki,
there's also quite a few Secret Wars. So Loki. Once again, I don't really have much more to say. This is really disappointing to me, honestly. After this episode ended, I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, I was finally in good graces again with this show after 3 and 4, and they just
this one kind of
pulled a classic Disney Plus.
Yeah, this one dropped it way back down. Like I said, I finished it, and then we've sat on it for a solid 24 hours now. I'm just like, there really wasn't anything to that episode. I was like, yeah, there's some character development for Loki, but outside of that, it's like you basically got to see what the lives of the variants in the TVA, of the ones we care about, like what their lives would have been had He Who Remains not pulled them out of the timelines that they were a part of. So that's like just all you really got out of this, and it's like,
I feel like it honestly ruins the thread that we set up with Mobius earlier in this season about why he didn't want to necessarily. I figured there would be a point in this season where he would have to come face to face, where he would have to see what his past looked like. But in this situation, he doesn't really see it. He's just he's a new version of Mobius.
Well, you know what it's going to do. It means that the last episode, Loki's going to take Mobius and be like, I got to show you something because I feel like you need that. Remember, you need to be able to make a choice, right? Because that's the whole conversation with Sylvie at first. Is like he wants them to be able to make the choice. And he's probably going to feel guilt-tripped that he knows what Mobius's life could be outside the TVA. So then he's going to show him, like, here's what you could be doing. I feel like that will probably happen once our conflict is solved.
I mean, I would like that, I guess, but I don't. I just feel like they have so much work to do in the finale at this point, especially if we're gonna set up Kang going forward. I don't. I don't know, man. Like I said, to start off, the episode by itself, in a vacuum, I like. It's fine. I like being able to see these where they actually all these characters came from, what they were supposed to be doing. But as a penultimate episode, it's not good in my eyes. Not good. It was a very big bummer for me when this thing ended. I was just like,
yeah.
I feel like this should have been episode 3. Like, I don't know. So they got a lot of work to do. Hopefully they somehow stick it, but now we're back. I feel like we're back to Disney Plus territory, so I have no. So.
I would agree with you. I'd probably give the episode honestly like a 6 out of 10. I don't even know if that. I kind of want to even say just 5 out of 10, like go real low and I usually don't go that low unless I really hate something. So,
Say,
yeah,
I'll go.
that's my score on it.
I'll just go 6-3, just because, like I said, in a vacuum, I think it's a fine episode. I want to give it like a 4, but
I
but
want to go as low as UKP, but I just can't. I can't be that mean.
I don't know. In a vacuum, I think it's a decent episode. I absolutely despise that it's an ultimate. Whatever. Fuck you too, Disney Plus. All right, everybody. That'll do it.
That'll do it.
Of course, if you like what you saw, give us a like and subscribe. There's one more episode of Loki. We will have a Gen V season review coming out here. I would imagine sometime next week.
For sure.
Of course, now we got Invincible starting, so we'll be doing weekly reviews of that. So if you'd like to see that, please, we'd appreciate you. But until next time, KP, where can the people find you?
You can always find me Tuesdays and Thursdays, and most likely the weekends at twitch.tv/KevinNation_. Cause fuck some other guy that took the name I wanted. And on Twitter at PoliteAsK. I think I have my crap all linked there. I'll get around to it if I don't.
Of course, I also
I also only tweet when I go live on Twitch. So I mean, all you gotta do is like maybe like give like one little finger scroll. You'll find it.
You can also find me on Twitter, aka X gonna give it to you at Jsib20, and on twitch.tv/Jsib20. I think usually I post our socials all down in the description, so easy for you.
And my socials all have different. Yeah, my socials unfortunately all have different handles. But I don't care. That's all right.
So until next time, we do appreciate you all so much. Take care. See ya.